Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the Muy Macho. So I've told people, I should have started this channel 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was. So what I'm going to share with you today, these are my actual review notes after I went to see The Force Awakens back in December of 2015. So this is the Muy Macho lost tapes. Okay. So I'm going to read these. These were probably, had just gotten into my car way back when. Load these almost 10 years ago. These are unedited. This was from my notes just on my iPhone. So here it is. There was December 1st, 2015. Spoiler alerts below. So in case you haven't seen The Force Awakens, I'll tell you now, don't waste your time because it sucks. But so none of this is really going to matter. This is mostly for nostalgia, but just for some of you to just take a look into my mind even 10 years ago before I started this actual channel a few months ago. So it's as it says here, this movie blew ass. First, some practical reasons. Now I have not seen the movie again, so I'm digging way back in my memory. But please let me know if any of this is incorrect, technically incorrect. Okay? By the way, hit subscribe if you're new here, and I also encourage you to go to my playlist and turn it on your TV and leave it playing for your dogs when you go to work or whatever. Let's hold on a second. So these were the real-time notes. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. And if you are new here, please hit subscribe so you could stay connected. So here, I'll just take it right off the page. Now so keep in mind, if you don't remember back in 2015, this is at the beginning of the surge of the DEI wokeness that crippled the planet, especially in the entertainment world. So, as it says here, this movie blew ass. First, some practical reasons. Luke had no lines, and I believe it was at the end of the movie where they just show him in what I would find out, which I didn't even see the Last Jedi with the milking of the whatever that thing was, debacle. Next I have here, Leia had about 12 lines and sounded drunk. So she was a little older, but I do recall she was slurring. Either she was actually drunk, heavily medicated, or maybe she got some bad Danny Glover style dentures that were just messing her up. If you don't know, she passed away a few years ago. R.I.P. She's a great actress, but always struggled with, I'm not sure booze, but definitely drugs. She was all messed up. She was a Hollywood kid. Her parents were famous. Anyway, look into that if you want to. Han Solo had mostly one-liners, and he also sounded drunk. Now, I can't remember one of the one-liners. I'm not sure if they were just trying to recapture the old, from the original trilogy, but I do remember him sounding a little drunk. Now he's an older guy, and he always was kind of a slow and sluggish anyway, in the way he walked and ran and spoke, but it was a little more pronounced as I recall. Finn, the actor's name I can't remember. He played the stormtrooper. He never killed anybody. Please correct me if I'm wrong. As a stormtrooper, that's why he's good. He's not tarnished by having been a stormtrooper for the Empire. Yet he had no problem killing many stormtroopers, some of whom were probably old friends. Okay, because he was in there from birth, right? Wasn't that the deal? Which takes us to our next line. Finn was trained to be a stormtrooper from birth, kind of like Spartans, I guess, right? So from the womb, you're trained to kill, not to care. All right, as Metallica once sang. Yet knows how to banter like Tango and or Cash. Now, as the Muy Macho, I'm going to probably doing a top macho about Tango and Cash, which is the classic, ridiculous buddy cop movie starring Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell, where all they did is banter and tell stupid ass jokes. But it was great. So Rey, next line here. Rey somehow is a crack shot and never misses with a blaster, despite never seeing one or using one before. Now remember, folks, this is years before whoever coined the term Mary Sue coined the term Mary Sue. So I saw it way back when, not because I'm a genius, but because it was obvious that when they made this movie, they were doing all of this crap. Next line. Rey somehow is a better pilot than Han. Now Han at the time, had what, 40, 50 years in the game, you know, flying and doing it. Yet somehow this untrained Jesus figure, Rey, is better at that. She's somehow a better engineer than Chewie. Now Chewie's been doing this same thing, decades and decades. Yeah, she just knows how to figure shit out. All right, and Chewie's just a big dumb animal, I guess. Okay, just more of the ridiculousness that continues here somewhat more. Rey somehow better than the most powerful Sith in a lightsaber fight. She just knows how to do it. No training required. Never lays a glove on her. Next line here, this was also obvious. Rey, quote unquote, is fine and doesn't need Finn to save her or take her hand. And I don't recall if she slaps it away or just looks at it with derision. Like, I don't need your hand, you stupid male. All right. I'm a powerful girl boss. All right. Before anybody was using these words, that's how obvious this crap was. Next, now I don't remember the context of all this. The Force itself is never really explained in the movie. But if you're a Star Wars fan, you know what the Force is about. It's the life force that flows through everything in this universe, in this galaxy, far, far away, a long time ago and all. Okay? So whatever that was a correlation to, but they never really discuss it, as I say, or explain it rather. What I have next is there was no conflict within or among any of the characters other than the combat. So again, I can't remember expressly, but there was no changing, there was no learning, there was no nothing. It was just, now look, I'm all for action. That's all great. But Star Wars was always about more than action. It was about principles. Okay. It was about humanity. It was about, it was about right and wrong, good versus evil. This was just, as I recall, just nonstop combat, which is, and too much of anything is not good. It's not entertaining. Nobody changed or overcame anything within themselves. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Who changed? Did somebody go from good to bad? Did somebody go from bad to good? Did somebody go from confused to resolute, or vice versa? Let me know. Next I have here General Leia. I guess she's no longer a princess. Now she's a general. Somehow. She's just a general now. Okay. Battle tested, wartime general genius. And then she hugs Rey for some reason. Now, we didn't know later on, like they didn't know each other at the time. So even if there was some, obviously any natural relation, they didn't know each other. Why would perfect strangers hug? Well, even if it was, in the context that we're looking at here, it was just like hugging somebody who's standing on a bus stop. All right. So those were my initial notes and what it says next here. And now for the more cynical points. Okay, now this was by the way, not that I have to say this if you know me, I am not white. Okay, I am what you would call what some of you would call a Latinx. All right, I'm Mexican American. My parents were from Texas, man. All right, but I'm from Chicago. But it was plain as day. All the bad guys were white, except for the masked trooper. And I'll tell you, these years later, I don't even know who that refers to because I never saw it again. The good guys were suspiciously racially and genitally diverse. Why? And so that's how I typed it out back then. Now you could see, even though it's still lingering, we're still weaning off the movies that were written during the the past few years till all of this got toppled last year. But they never really, it was just so obvious and bad for everyone. Anyway, next line it says, the old white guy, Max von Sydow, dies. Okay, I don't remember the character or whatever. All I know is he's dead. Old white guy Harrison Ford dies. Right? Say, I don't know. Again, I'm not a philosopher or whatever, but if you can't see the symbolism in killing the two old white men, then you're on drugs or you're just a meathead. I don't know. So the youngish, this I noticed because I recognized him from the show Heroes. The white guy pilot in this movie, I guess he got fat over the years and he had a beard and that was basically it. All right, he does absolutely nothing. I think that was the only other white dude in this movie, but every other good guy is a non-white male. Please correct me if I'm wrong. All right, what does Crowder say? Change my mind. Okay, let me know, truly. Okay. And my last line here, and those are just what I can remember from seeing this movie once. I'll have more. Well, I guess I was wrong about that. I have no more because probably after this, now this has been buried in my notes on my iPhone for almost 10 years and I just dug it out. Okay, that's why I'm calling this the Muy Macho Lost Tapes or Lost Reviews, maybe. So anyway, please do correct me if I'm wrong. If you see anything there, what did I miss? What did I hit? Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe. And I have a new idea, a new ask. If you are somewhat entertained, like 1% entertained, view time here, watch time is very important. So if you're going for a ride, this may not be a podcast per se, but I've got playlists. If you want to just hear me yammer on with this stuff, go ahead and hit my playlist and drive to work, or if you're on the road or whatever you're doing. So that's it for the Muy Macho today. That's all I got. So thanks for stopping by here, and we'll see you down the road there. Adios. Later. Bye.